This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
We turn to the subnationals, where the government of Kano State has rejected an ECOWAS court ruling that declared its blasphemy laws as violations against human rights. The state insists that it has every right to create laws that reflect the moral and religious context of its residents. It also argues that the Nigerian constitution allows subnationals to create their own laws. For more on the implications of this, we are joined by Rabiu Shuaibu Abdullahi, a legal practitioner who specializes in Sharia law. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Can we sort of get your reactions to the positions that have been taken both by the Kano State as well as ECOWAS?
Yes, my position is that I'm strongly in support of the position of Kano State, considering the issue of legality and constitutionality of blasphemy in Kano State. This is because, yes, we have some freedom as guaranteed by 1999 constitutions, but those provisions of constitution which guaranteed those rights are very much limited. There are some limitations with regards to those rights. Especially, we have a lot of plethora of cases decided by both Court of Appeal and Supreme Court of Nigeria, in which some limitations and some restrictions were placed on those rights. So those rights are not unlimited, and the state has the power to establish the law justifiably to bring peace and order in the state. So this is my position. So the position of Kano State, the position taken by Kano State is constitutional and did not contravene any provision of the Constitution of Nigeria.
So, Mr. Abdullahi, when I look back at the ECOWAS court ruling, it speaks specifically about the part of the Sharia, the Kano State Sharia Penal Code law that stipulates the death penalty for insulting the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It described it as excessive and disproportionate in a democratic society. It seems the contention of the court is essentially the punishment involved, not deeming it an illegality to blaspheme, but what the punishment is simply much larger than what the insult was, or the crime, the perceived crime was in that case. This is the issue that's been tabled. When you consider that Nigeria is a signatory to the ECOWAS court, do you agree that the position of the Kano State government is dicey in this case?
Yes, this position of Kano State is not the position of Kano State. It is the position of Islam generally. This position of death penalty for whoever insults not only Prophet Muhammad, but any prophet, even Jesus Christ, even whatever prophet we have, the Islam considered as prophets from God. Whenever you insult him, the position of Islam is you will be sentenced to death. This is not the position of Kano State, but it is the position of Islam in general. Right? Even during the life of the Prophet Muhammad, all penalties was imposed on some people. So this is not the position of Kano State. And one thing I want to highlight is that this position, since 1998, it has been upheld by Supreme Court of Nigeria in the case of Shalla versus State. Let me quote the decision of Supreme Court in this issue. The Supreme Court held that under Sharia law, any sane and adult Muslim who insults, defame, or utters any words or acts which are capable of bringing into disrepute or contempt of the person of the Holy Prophet Muhammad commit a serious crime which is punishable by death. This is a decision of Supreme Court in 1998 in the case of Shalla versus State. So, and Kano State, it is only in 2000 when we have Kano State Sharia Penal Code law in section 382 sub B of that law. It was provided that whoever by any means publicly insult by using words or expression in writing or verbal by means of gesture, which shows or demonstrate any form of contempt or abuse against the Holy Quran or any prophet, mark this, or any prophet shall on conviction be liable to death.
I mean, Mr. Abdullahi, the issue is not about the prophet in particular that may be insulted by the words of whoever it is that uttered them. The issue is, and I hear you when you say that Islam stipulates the death penalty for such an issue, for such a perceived crime. The trouble is, the ECOWAS court says it's against what is the internationally guaranteed right of every human to freedom of expression. And this is where they bring up the contentions between this particular law or this right and then the laws that are enshrined within Islam around matters of blasphemy.
You see, ECOWAS court is not in Nigeria and it cannot understand because, whenever you see law and you see punishment and whenever a crime was stipulated, defined and punishment prescribed, before you understand the wisdom behind or legality or otherwise of that punishment, you have to go back to the history of people, their religion, their culture, their traditions, their norms and values. So ECOWAS cannot understand our religion, cannot understand our culture, and cannot understand our norms and values. We are Muslim in Kano, and this is the prescription of our religion, and we will abide by it. It is not ECOWAS that will tell us what we will do in our religion and what we will not do. This is why the Supreme Court of Nigeria, being the court in Nigeria, which can understand the position which can understand our religion and our culture better than the court in ECOWAS. That is why the Supreme Court upheld this position. If this position is repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience, it will have been stated by the Supreme Court in Nigeria. Now, the Supreme Court is not in Kano. It is in Abuja. And these justices of Supreme Court, some of them are not even Muslim. But they can understand the wisdom behind our religion and our tradition more than the justices of the ECOWAS. So this is why when you come specifically on this issue of freedom of expression, that is the provision of Section 39 of 1 of 1999 Constitution, which provides that every person should be entitled to freedom of expression to the end. When the Supreme Court comes to interpret this provision, it now states and stipulates a limitation for this guaranteed right. In the case of Okpajo versus NEVCR, it was decided in 2008 by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. It stated that Section 39 of the Constitution is not absolute, as it cannot invalidate any law that is reasonably justifiable in a democratic society in the interest of defense, public safety, public order, public morality, or public health.
Right. Well, Mr. Abdullahi, thank you very much for your time and expertise on this conversation. Rabiu Shuaibu Abdullahi is a legal practitioner who is versed in the Sharia law, and he joined us this morning to speak on the government of Kano State rejecting an ECOWAS court ruling that declared its position on the blasphemy laws as a violation against human rights. You're still listening to Radio Now.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.